right, guys, so we're going to get started here with SketchUp. But before we get into the tools and how SketchUp works, let's just make sure that we all get started and set up on, the same page here. So to access SketchUp, the easiest way that you're going to do this, and you can do this from your Chromebooks, it's fine. If you want to use one of the computers off the laptop cart, that is fine as well. But you don't need to. You can run it from a Chromebook. So what I did here is I just created a new window, right? And I'm logged in, and it brings up all my Google apps. So the easiest way to launch and find SketchUp is to click on all your apps, scroll all the way down, and there's the symbol for SketchUp right there, SketchUp for Schools. That's what we want. Okay. So what you're going to do when you launch that, this is the window that's going to kind of pop up. Okay. You're going to see a little figure here. My screen, it was a lady. All I did is I used my arrow tool, which is my selection tool. Take your selection tool, click on that person, and then hit the delete key, and that person is gone. Okay. And right here is your format, your interface for using SketchUp. So all the parts that you're going to draw is going to be on, this interface here. And before we go over all the tools and stuff, I just want to make clear that all your parts are going to be drawn in this same window. You're not going to create a new SketchUp for each and every part. You're going to use this same file, this same window, and we're just going to have a sea of parts out here on the screen. Okay, it's going to look like a giant yard sale, which is fine. So what I want you to do next is I want you to set up so that this is saving correctly. Okay, so up here, obviously there's my save window. I want to set this up so it is saving correctly. So I'm going to hit save. And it's going to bring up a save to window. It's asking you where you want to save it. We're going to go to the drive. So I click one time on my drive. Okay. Now, these are all the folders that are in my drive. All right. You should have one, materials processing. All right. I asked you to make one. If not, you can go back into your Google Drive and you can make one. So I'm going to select that folder. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a file name. And I'm just going to type it clock build, and I'm going to set save here. And now if you look at that top menu, it's saved. It's in my Google Drive under my materials processing folder, and it is named clock build. Okay. So if you're doing entry table, obviously you name it accordingly. All right, so now let's get into some tools. I'm going to streamline this and make this as easy as possible. Okay, 90% of the things that you're drawing are squares and rectangles. Okay, so it's going to be very simple. This stuff is not hard to draw. Okay, you got your selection tool, and I'm not going over all the tools. I'm just going to go over the ones that you're going to need here. So you got a selection tool. You got your eraser. We might need that. You definitely will use your line tool. You're definitely going to use your rectangle tool. You're definitely going to use what is called the push-pull tool. You're definitely going to use the move tool. And last but not least, the tape measure. Okay? So how does all this apply out here on the desktop? Well, out here on my desktop or out on my interface for the program, this is where all our parts are going to be, all right? And your ultimate goal here is to use this same file for all of your parts for your project. So if you're building your clock, you're going to have, all 20 of your parts laid out. If you're doing your entry table, you're going to have all of your individual parts drawn and laying out here. So it's going to look like a big yard sale of parts, and that is fine. Do not create a new SketchUp for each and every part, because when we get to the end, that's going to create a major issue for you. Okay, you want them all in the same file. Okay. So the first tool that we're going to go to is the rectangle tool. And this is the one that you're going to use to probably start 98% of all your parts. Okay. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I'm going to click it, or I can just hit R on the keypad and it'll give me this feature right here. Okay. I can be anywhere out on this screen. It really doesn't matter. Notice I have this blue axis that I'm drawing on, and that's fine, right? That's where I want to be right now. The blue one is fine. So I'm going to click one time with my mouse, and I'm going to start drawing this out. Okay, and you can see as I move around my screen now, I'm on my green axis, right? So I want to draw on that blue axis, and I'm just going to kind of pull the shape out. And notice down in the bottom right, it's giving me specific dimensions. Okay. Well, what I need to do is I got to punch in the actual measurements I want for the part I'm trying to build. Okay. For my clock legs, this is really simple. It should be a length of 14. I'm going to use that 14 last. Okay. I'm going to use my push-pull tool to create it the length that I want. The first two things I need to do is create the width I want and the thickness I want. Okay. So right off of your bill of materials, I got to know that my legs are 3 inches, and I'm just typing this in. Notice in the bottom down there, the bottom right, I typed 3, and then I held my shift key. I gave the quotes to give it inches. Now I'm going to put a comma because I'm going to put my second measurement, which is now going to be my thickness, 1.25 inches. And then I hit enter, and it went and created that part. There it is right there. Okay. I'm using a mouse. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scroll wheel, and I'm going to zoom right in on that part. Okay. Now, everyone, when they first start, they're like, man, that doesn't look like 3 1/4 inches. So what you can do is I can hit T, which is for tape measure, or I can select it off my toolbar. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click 3 inches, 1.25 inches. I verify that this part is right. Okay. Now I'm going to hit escape. And what I'm going to do is I am now going to hit P for push pull. Notice I didn't even click on my part yet. I went right to a different tool after I had my profile of this part made. And notice when I click on it, or when I hover my mouse over it, I get that waffle pattern. That's telling me I'm selecting that face. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and start pulling that out in the direction I want it to go. And then I am just going to type in the length I want it to be. In this case, I want it to be 14 inches. Hit enter. And now I created a part that is 3 inches wide, 1.25 inches thick by 14 inches long. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to verify the measurement of that part one last time just to make sure that I have confidence in the program. And then also maybe my fat finger's gotten away and I typed something in wrong. So again, I like using the shortcuts off my keypad. So I'm going to hit T, and that's going to transition from my push-pull tool to my tape measure. I can also, if you're comfortable in just coming over, you can do it that way as well. Okay. So let's verify some things here. I got a length of 14. That is great. I got 3 inches wide, and now I just need to verify that I am 1.25 inches. I am. Okay. Last thing to end this video, and this is the really important part. I'm going to go to my selection tool. And when I go to my selection tool, notice how it's individually selecting the face, the edge, the end grain of the part that I drew. Okay. As I progress here, I don't want them to be individual. I want this to be what is called a component. I want this all to be one piece. And here's how I do this. 2 ways. I can click hold and select everything, and notice it made everything blue. Okay. Or I can triple click it. Either way, every face, edge, and end grain, all of it is selected. And then I'm going to right click on my mouse here. Notice it's still selected back there. And I'm going to come down to the command that says make component. All right. So one more time. I got to select it all. I right click on it. Make component. And I would just name it whatever it is. Leg. Hit OK. From here, when I deselect it and click on it again, notice it's not letting me select individual faces. This is a component. And that is a really, really important part to understand as you start drawing. Okay. Now, I have video support for each and every single part that you guys are going to draw. So we got it set up right that we can use SketchUp. We got it set up that it is saving correctly. And I gave you a very, very, very basic overview of how to get started drawing. My videos that support each and every single part is available to you. All you need to do is watch it and follow along exactly with me. I draw each and every part and explain how I'm doing it. You should have no problems in being able to create each and every single part. Remember, you want to draw all your parts in this same full file. Don't create a new one for each and every part. Use this to create every single part, and you'll have no problems. All my videos are on Canvas. Um, they are all in order. You're going to start there, and you're going to work your way through.